What's planned obsolescence?
What is it?
What's planned obsolescence? Planned obsolescence is an intentional design to manufacture products with limited lifespans. There are two categories, the physical and the technological. The physical aspect of planned obsolescence deals with limiting the lifespan, repair, and the aesthetics of a product. The technological aspect of planned obsolescence deals with enhancing the fashionable designs of a product or adding more features, making the previous models outdated. Planned obsolescence is motivated by rejecting tradition and promoting change and progress. Practices of planned obsolescence was evident in the early 20th century, especially in the Great Depression when they were using inferior products to lower costs. Companies in the 1930s chose their materials based on scientific findings that knew exactly when the materials would fail. General Electric also shortened the lifespan of their light bulbs in order to increase the consumer demand by 60%. Companies have economic motives to encourage consumers to invest in more products. We acknowledge that there are also health and environmental consequences that involve in this practice. Electronic waste is highly complex to dispose of due to the high toxicity levels and the complexity of the product's makeup. E-waste is piling up around the world at 40 million tons per year. In North America, every year, 100 million cell phones and 300 million personal computers are discarded. It is said that 50 to 80% of recycled electronics are sent to developing countries for unsafe dismantling.
Research has shown that dismantling unsafely these e-waste has negative consequences on a human's health, such as inflammation and oxidative stress, themselves precursors of cardiovascular problems, DNA damage, and cancer.
Although we can blame the companies for this harmful practice, we cannot ignore the fact that consumers also have the civic duty to be aware and identify the notions of planned obsolescence.
A mutual effort between consumers, manufacturers, and the government should be taken in order to decrease the amount of e-waste in the world.
A better understanding of the way manufacturers function, and there should be a better understanding of what the user's needs are, and then I think that we might be able to solve it by bringing those two elements together.
Producers can adopt many ways to counter the negative aspects of obsolescence by setting up in place practices that are eco-friendly.
Manufacturers are now forced to do things that they should have, I think, thought of ways of doing it ahead of time, because there are other companies that figured out a way to take back the products and then put them back into the manufacturing. And then that becomes a really interesting, not only a good on the eco-design point of view, but financially it's a good idea. If manufacturers can realize that there was a financial and environmental advantage, and maybe even social advantage to taking back their products at the end of life, that would be a great thing.
Canadian governmental regulations have enforced companies to follow eco-friendly practices.
In 2009, the Canadian government approved of the Environmental Producer Responsibility. The EPR is an environmental policy in which the producer takes responsibility of the product at the end of its life cycle.
So now, when we're talking about product life cycles, we have to distinguish the marketing life cycle of a product, which means the fact that it's introduced into the market and then at one point the market is less interested in the product and then you switch to the next generation. That's the marketing aspect of product life cycle management. And then when we enter an eco-design, product life cycle management is a whole other thing. The life cycle of the product in eco-design is making sure that we know where the product's materials are coming from and what those impacts are, how the product is made, the fabrication, the transport, the logistics, the packaging, then the use phase, and then the end of life phase.
Consumers are fascinated by this notion of progress by purchasing more commodities and participating in this notion of cult of the present.
So I always see this as a two-sided coin, right? I always see the fact that yes, manufacturers could be doing something better, and I think consumers could also be doing something better. Consumers right now are very interested in the newest gadget. We shouldn't be attached to the newest object, and maybe we should be attached to the oldest object and seeing the one I personally, I shouldn't be talking about myself, but I have an iPad 1 and I'm still using it. And I'm not even thinking about iPad 3 because I have all the relationship I need with that product. I mean, I get to read in my bed and I'm happy about it. And I think that if there was a more, we can look at clothes and realize that, people change. You were talking about fashion. People change clothes a lot, very often, but maybe what's cool is to have a pair of jeans that's naturally unwashed and that the clothes change with you over time. Now we have jeans that are pre-faked, re-washed, and then pre-slit, and then pre-whatever. But in fact, all these elements are coming back from true use and a true variation in the product through the relationship that you have with it. So what we should be thinking about is how can we design products, and then it goes into Chapman's book in 2005, Emotionally Durable Design, I think, or Emotional Design, and the idea that products can evolve with the users over time.
Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas une question de motivation? Est-ce que les consommateurs ne sont pas en quelque sorte complices de l'obsolescence? Que ça fait leur affaire qu'un objet casse parce que ça leur donne l'excuse d'en acheter un autre. Alors quel est ce bris d'attachement qui fait qu'on veut briser cette relation-là et en créer une autre? Il y a presque un parallèle qu'on peut faire avec les relations humaines. Donc, on en est venu dans les projets subséquents à s'intéresser de plus en plus aux facteurs émotifs et en fait à cette relation d'attachement, l'usager et les objets de son entourage. On veut considérer les objets comme contenant d'informations. Et puis c'est un peu comme les humains. En fait, ce qu'on essaie de faire, c'est humaniser la relation entre l'utilisateur et les objets. Dans un premier degré, ça serait de rendre disponible pour chaque objet qu'un consommateur posséderait des informations sur l'objet. Son histoire, son lieu de fabrication, les matériaux qu'il contient, est-ce que ces matériaux proviennent d'autres produits qui ont été recyclés, ses anciens propriétaires, parce que des fois on a des objets là, qui ont passé par plusieurs mains avant de nous arriver. Nous, on voudrait que ça soit l'objet lui-même, qu'il contienne des informations sur lui-même, et c'est une information qui se bâtit. Autrement, il se construit son histoire.
Consumers should take the initiative to learn about their products before they buy them, by researching about them. Consumers should be willing to pay more for longer-lasting products that are sustainable and eco-friendly. So I, as a consumer, buy my computer. I bought this 4 years ago, and now it's no longer performing quite as well. So marketers seduce me with their advertising to buy this more trendy, newer one. But I say, no, thank you. I want to keep my old product, which is doing quite well, which I can repair by technicians, and as long as it doesn't go kaput, I want to keep it.
We must think critically about our actions, and we can find ways in which we can make a difference.
Stop planned obsolescence! Check our website!